I can take you back to the time of evolution. But this is going to be a little bit different. I'm taking you back to the origins of not the intellect and tools, but the origins of dance, drama, stories, and art. But in actual fact, we don't have to go back in time right away, because we have examples of animals on this very planet who create simple art and music. In our zoos, elephants paint beautiful pictures of other elephants, and they're realistic. Our whales, our humpback whales, sing songs that are transmitted for hundreds of kilometers and heard by other whales across the ocean. Further, the songs change from year to year. Now, apes pretend play. So do 3-year-old children. Now, in captivity, chimps and other apes that learn sign language sign to their dolls. An orangutan was seen to wear a sheet and pretend that he was a ghost. Now, this imagination, this pretend play is the roots of dance, drama, stories, religious experience, and rituals. When you pretend play, you enter into a world that exists in your head, a bit of an altered reality. Now, in the wild, chimpanzees have been seen to cradle pieces of wood and sticks as if they were dolls. One, who lost a sibling or a very important companion, started carrying this stick around, feeding it, and building nests for it. But in the wild, there's more. Chimpanzees have an incredible display for dominance. It is theatrics. It is bluff. Most of the time, unless there's years of escalation involved, no one really gets hurt. The animals throw sticks and stones and vegetation, and the others watch spellbound. Now, at times when it begins to rain and thunder, these chimps will do similar displays as if to chase the rain away. Jane Goodall has termed these displays rain dances and suggests that primitive man dealt with the elements in a similar fashion. Apes also seem to look mesmerized at waterfalls. Now, we shall go back now to 3.2 million BC, to the time of Lucy. Let us imagine now. We are 3.5 feet high, and we live in woodlands, but also by big savannas, teeming with big animals. Now, we behave like chimpanzees. We build tools. We use spears, simple spears made from wood. But unlike the chimps, we're using the stone tools to start to challenge some of the animals in the savannah for their prey, for what they have just killed. The jackals, the wild dogs, the leopards. Once in a while, we get to scare them off and get a kill and use the sticks to gnaw at the bones. But we have no chance yet against the saber-toothed tigers roaming the area. No chance at all. They are too big, and we all have relatives that have been eaten by them. In any case, we are sitting in mid-afternoon. We have walked all day in search of food, and we found a gazelle, and we are sitting there. And we see one of their young kids. He's taking one of his sticks to the water hole and feeding it and drinking it with it. He had just lost an infant, or he just lost a sibling. You, me, we're the alpha male now. We're looking at everyone. The apes are starting to relax in the sun. Some of the juveniles are wading in the water, and you decide to strike and make a surprise bluff display. But your rivals, they're not into it today. They slink off. Your allies hug you. And then you go off into the woods, further up by a cliff. And you survey the whole area around you. You survey far in the distance the menacing eyes of a saber-toothed cat. You look away. You look up into the sky and notice some of the beautiful glowing stars. You look in your territory and you see a leopard eating a kill. None of it bothers you. But then you see a glow that seemingly is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it has that smell. You know about fire. You don't know how to make it yet, but you know that it creates warmth and can be used to scare animals away. For that, you love fire. But when it becomes big, treacherous, and dangerous, it is far more violent and destructive than even the saber-toothed cats. So you see that the others around you are sleeping. The group is about 100 meters away sleeping. And you see that the fire is getting closer and closer. What do? You drum very hard on the buttress of a tree in order to get their attention. They wake up. They smell the smoke. And they come. They hear you and they meet you. But pretty soon, they realize that they have no place left to go. Where are they going to go to? So then one of you thinks about the group a few kilometers away near the waterfall. They have less members than you do. They can be easily outrun and outnumbered. So you go to that place, and you make a midnight raid that lasts 2 or 3 hours before the others finally give up. 1 or 2 of you get injured on both sides, but no death. In any case, you're all excited. You have the territory. You're going in the pre-dawn, in the primordial twilight. And you reach, suddenly there's a huge rainstorm. And you're crazed. And you're all happy. And you've won the day so far. So you decide to throw your sticks and stones and challenge the rain and the lightning and the thunder. I'll have sound for that. And then the rain stops. And in your mind, it was what you did that stopped the rain. And you go, all of you, by a waterfall. And you dance round and round. Your mind flying higher in the primordial twilight. 3.2 million BC. So this is where the scene should be with the waterfall and also the fire before. This is okay, now imagine yourselves, it's 2.6 million BC. You're at the threshold of the first humans, but you're still Australopithecines. Australopithecine Gary. And you're using these big stones, and you're gathering them and taking them for 30 or 40 kilometers in the hot sun to get to where your caves are, or your sites are. Use them again to occasionally scavenge from the leopards and the hyenas. And you're carrying these stones, 2 or 3 of you, for kilometers in the hot sun, and you're delirious, and then you notice by chance that the stone has a face, an ape-like face, and you have no emotions to convey your feelings. But you begin to dance and bow, and you place being delirious, you place the stone on a mound, and you begin to dance round and round. And that stone stays in the same location for a good 800,000 years, or millions. And now, it's 800,000 BC, and you're in caves. You are Homo erectus. You don't use words, but you communicate in the forms of gestures and mind. You have simple tools, and you have fire. You're waiting for the others' return from the day's hunt. And the day's stories will be acted out on the primordial stage by the primordial fire. You sit watching, you sit waiting. And as the drums begin to beat, and as the excitement mounts, your dreams, you begin to drum louder and louder and dance around the fire, and your dreams, your collective dreams and struggles against the lions and the tigers and the hippos, still out on the primordial stage. Your ego transcends and you become the lion, tiger, wind, stream, and rain. In the primordial night, by the primordial fire, the forest comes to life as you bow and pray to a pantheon of nature gods. We have now traced the origins of dance and drama and mime and pantomime and religious rituals. Now we come to ideas and stories. Modern humans are the linking species. With humans, we leave the concrete world of the here and now and enter the realm of ideas. Ideas in stories, poetry, religious experiences, in our highest of literature and in our myths. Metaphors allow us to think in increasingly higher levels, and as I will show you, act as bridges to higher states of consciousness or the divine. A simple example of a metaphor is, I'm up against a brick wall, or there is light at the end of the tunnel. But they get much more complex in our poetry, in our stories, and in our great myths. Let me give you a simple example of how metaphors can help us think in increasingly higher levels. Let's look at the image mother and earth. Now, to an animal, mother represents love and warmth and security and food. Our ancestors in the cave could have acted out the emotions of mother love. But we have language, and we can talk about mothers of, at a higher level, mothers of invention, and at the highest level, we can talk about that we all come from the earth. Us and all the animals are related, all coming from the earth mother. Thus, allowing us to think in increasingly higher levels, these images can serve as bridges to the divine. Another example, coming in from the cold. Now, to our primitive Homo erectus humans, they could have acted out the emotions that home is best and the feelings of jubilance. But we have terms, home is best. Coming home after a long, fruitless search for the love, when you find the love of your life. And coming home to a spiritual shelter from a chaotic world. Again, metaphors, stories, mental images allow us to think and are bridges to higher states of consciousness. Now, I'd like you to go, it's 30,000 BC. We are modern humans now. We're in a cave. Some of the cave paintings are really old. You can barely see them. But some of them are freshly painted. And you all gather from different tribes to hear stories, to tell stories, to see the new paintings. The shaman is waiting. The drumming continues. And all of you begin to reach other states of consciousness when the shaman passes out the sacrament. Now, on the wall you see incredible images of bulls and birds of flight and incredible horses and human beings and animals. Well, within an hour, your souls begin to merge with the golds and the browns and the animals and the characters of the cave wall. And then you proceed to the ether, to the highest levels of the multiverse, and realize that everything in fact is connected. And no contradictions exist. All contradictions cease. Now, the shaman, there's a special image because he has to go to a certain other dimension where he meets Jack, and he sees an incredibly huge spiral staircase unfold in front of him. And he begins to climb. And he begins to climb this incredible spiral staircase. And he sees the pristine earth underneath him in all its beauty, untouched yet and unspoiled by human encroachment. Real human encroachment. And then he sees, you climb and you see the sun, the solar system, the universe, the galaxies, and you realize that everything in one way or another is connected. And then you go down the spiral to the level of the insects, to the level of the cells, to the level of the quarks, the atoms, the quarks, where you are in a quantum soup, and all potential exists, and all contradictions cease. Again, you bring the message home to the others, and everything is connected. That we are all one. And from the lowest to the highest of creation, from the smallest to the biggest, we are all linked. Pre-dawn continues. You're all coming back to your bodily prisons, but we have learned a lot. Our minds have not changed that much in modern times, even if we have all the gadgets, even if we have all the technology. We still use mental images and stories and metaphors and pretend play to think, learn, memorize, and metaphors, and provide meaning in our lives. So those that perform today and who will perform later in the evening have their long evolutionary roots with apes dancing and the wolves howling. millions upon millions of years ago. Now, is that how many minutes? Is that too long?